Hi and welcome to the We Need Roads podcast, and it's snakes, David. Why did it have to be snakes? Yes, do you know what? No, not on a plane, in a tomb. After 50 episodes, I think I'm getting a little bit thin on the ground for Back to the Future quotes.
It's finally happened. Were you just going through like an IMDb list of quotes?
There was a couple of sites I was choosing and trying to find the more random ones. Problem is, I started with the more random ones, and then went to the obvious ones, and then we ran out. We ran out of good ones. Because otherwise it's just quoting lines of dialogue that didn't really have any extra meaning to it.
What's the opening line in Back to the Future? Did you use that?
It's Hey Doc when he rings him up, isn't he? Hey Doc, and he's in the thing, and he's playing the amp, and then the machine goes wrong to feed Einstein. And he goes, Hey Doc, I think your clock's wrong. Wrong, Marty? It's set. Yeah, I remember. Right, so I think what we're going to be doing is I'm going to actually start doing a classic movie quote at the start of each episode that in some way will connect to something we will be talking about on the pod. So, David, again, snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Yeah, Raiders.
What classic movie... Okay, well, didn't even get to finish the sentence, but yeah, fine.
That's Raiders, yeah.
Of course.
Did you know that R2-D2 and C-3PO make an appearance in Raiders?
The drawings of them, isn't it, on the cable?
Yeah, that's it.
Right, so this week we have literally decided to go trailer mad. And yes, we're going to be talking about a massive glut of new trailers that have dropped in the last week or so. In fact, 3 of them dropped while I was in the cinema last week watching She Said.
And you know what else dropped there in that cinema? Germany out of the World Cup.
Germany out of the World Cup, yep. She Said and Guardians 3. And I came out and I was like, oh, what have I missed online? And oh, well, Twitter was blowing up, as the kids say. Everything. So today we're going to be looking at trailers for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, not the pick sadly, James Gunn closing chapter in the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, Volume 3, the Chris Pratt debate rages on as a new trailer for Super Mario Bros. Drops, and one of the greatest trailers of the year dropped, which of course was, David...
The Last of Us? Cocaine Bear.
Yes, well, I mean, yes. Cocaine Bear.
Both
Elizabeth Banks' Cocaine Bear. And in TV land, we also had trailers for The Last of Us, HBO's probably most anticipated show of the year. And if we have time, I'm going to throw in a very quick review of Violent Night.
Why? Well, sorry. Why are you talking like this and finishing every sentence
Because I'm excited, David. I'm excited. The excitement is running through my veins. Also, someone was watching Friends in the office, and so I just went into Chandler Bing mode. But first up, we have finally been taken to task for our god-awful, and some would say bordering on hate crime attempts at pronouncing some Irish names, especially with our Banshees of Inisherin review recently. And well, one of our frequent listeners, Pam from Ireland, has sent us this voice note on correct pronunciations.
Barry Keoghan.
Well, thank you, Pam. And David, despite having an Irish person tell us how to say the name, how do you now say Barry...
Keoghan.
Yes.
Barry Keoghan.
But you, before you checked again, you said Keegan.
I'm like a child, Neil. I need to remind myself.
I'm going with Barry Cohen, which might sound closer.
Let's go. I'm going with whatever Pam said.
I'm sure we're going to be wrong still.
That wasn't the only name that we got.
Yes, I believe you were pronouncing whose name wrong, David?
Is it Constantine? It's Considine. You know what? I'm just bad with names. I'm bad with names in general. Like, if I had a job where I had to even just talk to people in general, it's a good thing we have to do.
It's a really good thing that we picked a medium that relies on words, right? Yeah. Well, Pam, I'll just say keep on sending messages to keep David in check with his terrible pronunciation going forward.
It's not just hey, it weren't just me.
Yeah, but you're the worst. You're much worse than me. I make mistakes because you just randomly run through like 4 or 5 different wrong pronunciations, and then you make me question myself. You make me question myself, David.
What was that? That was like inaudible.
So first up is the 4th Indiana Jones film, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And yes, dear listener, there definitely was not a previous 4th Indiana Jones film with terrible CGI monkeys and fridge nuking back in 2008. It's just straight from 1989's The Last Crusade to this, the 4th Indiana Jones film in 2023. And this is the first indie film to not be directed by Steven Spielberg or written by George Lucas. So I guess that's one pro and one con, right? Pro, that George Lucas hasn't written it. It's a bit of a con, though, that Spielberg isn't directing, because, master of his craft. But the new film is being directed by James Mangold, who does have under his belt The Great Logan and recently Ford versus Ferrari. Also, he also directed Walk the Line, and he's got an Oscar nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay for Logan. So hey, if you want a director who can craft a great story about an iconic character riding off into the sunset, then Mangold is a hell of a good pick. It's also written by Mangold, along with English playwright Jez Butterworth, along with his brother John Henry Butterworth. And from Wikipedia, and I'm not entirely sure this is clear in the trailer, but the film is set in 1969 and takes place against a space race, with Indiana unhappy that the US government is working with former Nazis on their space program. He is also accompanied by his goddaughter Helena. Meanwhile, Mads Mikkelsen plays the ex-Nazi at NASA, and can you ever really be an ex-Nazi who ominously wishes to make the world a better place? The film, of course, stars 80-year-old Harrison Ford as Indy, Phoebe Waller-Bridge as Helena, his goddaughter, Antonio Banderas as Ronaldo, Toby Jones as Basil, and those two characters apparently are supposed to be allies of his, along with the returning John Rhys Davies as Salah, who was last seen in Last Crusade. And on Nazi bad guy duty, as mentioned, we have Mads Mikkelsen, Thomas Kretschmann, and Boyd Holbrook. So we got the Corinthian from Sandman as well, man. So that's a nice, good lineup of Nazis there. That's a good lot of punchable, Aryan-looking faces. So, David, overall impressions of the trailer?
Before we get onto the trailer, can we get onto the name? Because that was a new thing that came out.
That is definitely a thing that happens.
The Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I'm not. Whatever it's about, it's probably not the. That in itself is more worrying than the trailer. The trailer looks fine. It's Indiana Jones. It's action. It's comedy. It's Harrison Ford. Charisma. The title reveal at the end, though,
it's a bit
was
shit,
more
isn't
worrying than anything else. What's that? It feels like it's going to go like Crystal Skull way again and just go too supernatural.
Yeah.
What I liked about the originals, like what I liked about Raiders and Last Crusade, was that the supernatural elements of them were all based on religion, and it felt believable to an extent. What the Nazis were after the the Ark
of the Covenant. Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail, thank you. How could I forget Holy Grail?
You'd forget where you live, man.
I know. But anyway, and even the what was supernatural in Temple of Doom wasn't too far fetched. But then the whole alien
melting Nazi faces.
Yeah. I just there's a balance
in the Force
with where they take. Yeah, well, come on, Neil. Why are you saying words?
Because I'm waiting for you to get to a point.
I am getting to the point. The point is, there's a balance that needs to be struck between supernatural and good storytelling, action, set pieces, all that jazz. And with the name Dial of Destiny, I feel like it's going to go too far down there. But that's just me taking it from the title and nothing else.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I think the Dial of Destiny is a bit of a shit title, isn't it? It's Crystal Skull actually does sound better than Dial of Destiny. But there was a line that when we was talking offline earlier, that there's a line where he says in the trailer, "I don't believe in magic," and you're like, "Well, what the bloody hell was that in the other films then?"
Like you hear the Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, fucking classic.
The Last Crusade.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Kaliman.
Last Crusade.
Yeah.
And like you said,
Crystal Skull's not too
Crystal
bad.
Skull sounds. It's more like ominous than Dial of Destiny.
Sounds like he's turning on the radio. What was that film? Wasn't that film with Tarantino when he tried to act once called Destiny Turns on the Radio?
I don't know. All I'm imagining with this is like a phone, like one of those old phones that you had to use. You have to circle around like a dial.
Perhaps it's going to be like The Matrix
and trying to call people on that. And if this has got time travel in it, Neil, I'm not going to be happy about it because that title screams time travel to me, and I'd be annoyed about that.
You're annoyed about a lot of things.
Then again, it could be really cool.
Well, I'm going to move on to... So I've got my pros and cons from the trailer. And admittedly, this wasn't really on my radar. Like, obviously, yes, there's another Indiana Jones film. But until I saw that first trailer, I don't know, it got me. Like, it's like, yeah. It made me... I showed it to my parents. They're like, oh, yeah, we'll have to go and see that in the cinema. And I was like, man, they don't go out to the cinema for a lot. So, the fact it got them as well. So, pros, we've got John Williams' iconic music back. It looks visually stunning. That opening shot looks amazing, man. And Mangold's gone back to his regular collaborator, and this is a hell of a name for a cinematographer, David, Pheidon Papamichael, who is from Greece. And he is Mangold's regular cinematographer, and this will be their 6th film together. You have a lovely opening montage that, it kind of plays the hits, doesn't it? It's car chases, running on trains, chasing after planes, intermixed with like the more modern day for the film setting of the 60s. The de-aging looks amazing when we see that shot of him about a minute and a half into the trailer. So it'll be interesting to see how well that holds up in full motion, or for how many shots. I love when it kicks in properly and you see him pick up the hat and the whip, two of the most iconic items of any film franchise ever. I love seeing the callback to Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. Did you see the bit where she's pushing the boulder and he's showing her how to push it in the trailer?
Yeah.
So that's a nice little callback to the old thing. And of course, any time an artsy gets punched on screen or in real life is a great moment. And of course, I love that shot near the end. You've got Indy riding a horse towards a train along train tracks. And I love the gag at the end of the trailer, man. Get back! He starts whipping a bunch of bad guys, and then they all just pull guns on him. I was like, yes.
Yeah. Did you notice the bit in there that looked way like the Millennium Falcon going through hyperspeed?
Maybe this is a con, but there is one shot in the trailer at 1 minute and 8 seconds if you want to have a look. And my exact words are, it looks like they are in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And
I think that's probably the Nazis, though. It doesn't look like it's Harrison.
Do you know what? Can you imagine if this was the Indiana Jones Star Wars crossover that no one saw coming? And Indiana Jones is Han Solo. No, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
No, it's like those people who keep saying, hey, what if you crossed Aliens and Predator? But no, that's an even worse idea.
Oh, no, that could work. It has worked in some way.
Not.
In a bad way.
Oh, and the other thing there's could be a potential con is, how are they going to mention the lack of Leah Buff? Where is the Shia? What happened to... Can you even remember what his character name was? Indy's son? Without Googling. What was his name, Dave?
Was it not Indiana Jr.?
No, that's literally what Indiana's name is. Junior. He's Junior.
That's a good
It was Mutz. I'm not letting you Google. It's Mutz.
I wouldn't have got that.
No, you wouldn't have got that. So overall, I am looking forward to this much more after seeing the trailer than I was before. I think Mangold's a great choice, and it's going to be interesting to see how well the special effects hold up for the full running time. I'm looking forward to seeing Phoebe Waller-Bridge in it, and although it's been recently denied that she'd be carrying on the franchise, because already the trolls and the incels have come out, oh, they're going to make Indiana Jones a woman. Blah, 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 blah. Mangold's literally come out in the last couple of days and said she is not carrying on the franchise. But as I've said in past pods, man, I'd totally be there for it. You don't have to have her do a Rise of Skywalker and call herself Jones at the end and take the hat and whip. But I love the idea that she, at least from what we know so far, is an unwilling academic dragged out of her comfort zone and into this world of adventure. So I think they're keeping their cards quite close to their chest in regards to her potentially getting her own indie-style franchise, because they already know what the trolls' reaction is going to be online. So I think they're going to keep quiet on it until the film comes out. And then hopefully everyone's going to go, oh man, she's awesome. Why don't you give her own film? And they were like, oh, well, it's funny you've been mentioning that. What do you think?
Yeah, potentially. I think, well, we know no one's going to carry on as Indiana Jones, because Indiana Jones, like Harrison Ford's openly said,
yeah,
the character dies when I die. And if I stop doing Indiana Jones films, that's when Indiana Jones films stop going on. And I'm not a lover of people carrying on franchises, just in general. I'm not a lover with... I'm falling out of love with franchises altogether, which is... Because it's annoying, because that's all the fucking is at the moment. Is everything's being turned into a franchise. So, I'm skeptical on that.
Mm-hmm. So you think this is it? I mean, yeah, I think, well, I suppose the only real question we have to ask at the end, David, is do they let him retire gracefully or do they kill Indy?
I think he'll have that moment where he rides off into the sunset, or he'll have that moment at like the end of The Dark Knight Rises.
Right. He's done. He goes off.
He's just like, he just smiles at Alfred whilst he's having his food.
It will be Indy sitting back in Egypt and having a cup of tea with Salah.
Something like that. Yeah. I hope so.
Imagine if we get that right now and everyone's like, oh, it's The Dark Knight Rises. And we're like, yeah, we called it a year ago. Boom. So this is, I think from this trailer, man, this has really jumped up my my must-see list for next year.
Yeah, I just hope that the script's good enough, and that I believe in the director for the same reasons that you've mentioned. The cinematography and everything, like you mentioned, is amazing. I just hope the script is good enough to warrant this film being made. Good enough to because there's no need for it. No one was calling out for another Indiana Jones.
They really
film,
weren't.
Really,
Not with Harrison Ford.
It's
at
just like
80.
a nice thing that's happening. Oh, there's another one that's coming out. Amazing.
Do you think it was because Ford himself was just annoyed with how it ended, and he's like, no, I want to do a
that's the
proper.
thing. This is what I'm also worried about, because he'd obviously have read the script, seen everything before Crystal Skull was released, and still decided.
But that was Lucas and Spielberg. Generally, you would trust Lucas. Oh, well, generally you'd trust Spielberg, not so much Lucas, wouldn't you? I think it could probably come down to them on that. Right, well, I think that about rounds us up for Indy. On an excitement scale, David, out of 10, how excited are you to see this now?
Yeah, like, I'm pretty excited for it. Like an 8, 9?
Ooh, no,
9. I'm going to go for a 9. Even though I was a bit negative on the name, and I was a bit negative.
It's just
I'm in a negative mood at the moment.
You're a negative Navi.
But everything else about it looked amazing. It's Indiana Jones. Like, how can you not love Indiana
Melting
Jones?
faces, Nazis punched, action, whips and hats. Yes. I'm going to give it an 8, though. I'm because I wasn't really fussed about it at all. And now it's definitely going to be up there. So, next up, David, we are moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is James Gunn's last hurrah in the MCU before he takes over as Uberlord over at DC. And as we know, he loves these characters and the fandom loves him, as do the actors. I think we can skip all the blah, blah, blah about the Marvel, DC, back to Marvel, then back to DC, firing, hiring, me business. I have 2 statements really here, David. First one is, we have Space Hog. Who are Space Hog? Do you know who Space Hog are?
Space Hogs?
Space Hog.
Like as in a pig? Like as in a space pig?
Singular. Space Hog.
Oh, okay, I don't know what you're saying. Okay. No, I don't. I'm going to say no.
Space Hog is the name of the band who do the song in the trailer, and it's a remixed version, and they were a one-hit wonder band from the late 90s, early 2000s, I think, and they had a song called In the Meantime, which is a song in the trailer. And there's your musical fact for the day. So...
is that the song that's like... stuff like that?
Yeah, do you know what? That song being in that trailer is going to give them such a bump. They'll probably go out on tour again from this one song again.
Is it going to be like when Stranger Things had, like, running up that hill, and all of a sudden everybody's into Kate Bush?
I don't think so, because Kate Bush obviously has loads of other amazing stuff. Space Hog were kind of like a one-and-done album, and I couldn't even name you another Space Hog song.
Okay, fair.
But the other thing is, do we think they all die? So rather than a standard trailer review or just talking about what we liked in it, David, we are gonna run through who do we think dies, David. Not that I think you're gonna die, David. Punctuation is very important. So I actually wrote punctuation is important and still got it wrong. So excellent. So first up, Star-Lord himself, Peter Quill. What do you think?
Dead. I don't know. Have you watched the comics?
Watched the comics. Read the comics? No.
Watch the comics. That makes sense, doesn't it? Have you read into it, like what happens?
No.
Further into the. Okay, well, I haven't either. I haven't got a clue. I'm gonna not say dead. I'm gonna say he lives.
Horribly maimed.
But he's like, yeah, maybe like,
Obi-Wan Kenobi
uses an eye or something.
That's all right. Rocket knows where he can get an eye.
He seems to be getting tortured to the extremes in it, and I don't think that scene where he's like screaming is for him. I think it's for something else.
Yeah.
Something else has just happened to somebody else in that scene, and he's just like, oh no, like that about it.
I mean, yeah, I actually think he's going to make it out and maybe head over to another MCU project. I just don't think.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what his contract's like. I don't know what his contract
you know what?
is.
I'm not too fussed about that. I don't want to be one of those guys who are like, well, actually, they're going to be in this many films going forward because their contract, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I'm not fussed about that.
Yeah.
So next up, we have Rocket, and I mean, they are hinting hard.
Dead.
Yeah, they are hinting hard that this is going to be Rocket's backstory, his story, and maybe his swan song. But this is James Gunn, man.
Definitely
we know he likes
dead.
to mess you around. So that I think the fact that they're really hinting so much that he's going to die, he might actually survive. Just because it's so obvious. And we know what they're like for Marvel for their trailers. They like to edit stuff around and not make it seem where it actually goes.
Well, they give him a love story with the otter. Yeah. So I'm already all about that love story.
Otter love, man. Otter love.
You know I love a love story, Neil.
Yeah, because you was posting...
We don't talk about romantic films and comedies and stuff enough on this podcast.
Well, I mean...
Just saying.
You stick to what you know, right? And that's not my area of expertise, David. However, next up, Groot. I mean, can we even kill Groot at this point?
He's buff as fuck in this film. He's been working out. He's been hitting the
trees.
I don't know. Yeah, he's
Been on the plant food.
I was gonna be like he's yeah. He's looking good.
Yeah, I don't think they kill Groot. I think Groot stays because again, he could easily be added onto another group of Guardians. Gamora. Now, I mean,
Yeah. There has been a character. A character's died in every Guardians film so far.
Gamora. I mean, technically she's dead already, so this is new Gamora from Endgame. So it would seem a bit silly to bring her back and kill her again. Although Gunn might do that just because he's a real dick and stuff like that, wouldn't he? You'd be like, oh, well, they're not going to kill Gamora.
Yeah, I think yeah.
So that could definitely happen. Kraglin. Kraglin's played by James Gunn's brother Sean, so he could totally kill him. He'd be like, oh, I'm going to kill you again, bro. And I think he's actually been killed off in some of his earlier films as well, because I think he was in Sliver. Drax, yep, I can see Drax going out, and I can see Drax going out in a really, really funny, stupid way. Can't you?
It'll be it'll be badass. I think
That's what I mean. It'll be badass, but it'll be funny. There's no way, and you'll be like, he's gonna, but yeah, that was awesome though. He goes out in an awesome way, doing something awesome.
I either think it will be either one of if it's not Drax that dies, it will be Mantis. It will be one of the two. I don't think both.
Oh, I was gonna say probably both. In a really stupid way, I think would just be really hilarious. New edition. I've not actually seen Cosmo yet. You've had Cosmo, the space dog. And I haven't actually got around to watching the holiday special yet on Disney Plus, but I'm doing it in the next couple of days. And apparently that's because you got Maria Bakalova from Borat 2 voicing Cosmo.
Yeah.
Now, you can't kill a raccoon and a dog in the same film, David. So one of them's going to survive, but I don't think both of them.
The internet will riot.
The internet, yeah, you can't kill a dog and a raccoon. And finally, I think we've got Nebula, and I think she lives because she's only just become good. And she's been through enough.
Oh, that's the perfect reason to kill her.
Or Gamora could kill her. Yeah,
I feel like Karen Gillan's like a bit underappreciated in the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, Karen Gillan's always awesome, man, in it, whatever she does. Well, like pretty much all the cast in this anyway. Well, in fact, I'll probably just say if there was one weak link in the cast and not in genuine performances, it's probably Chris Pratt. And that's only really because at the minute I can't get Pratt out of my mind when he's trying to do serious action hero, because I see him as goofy action hero, like in here and like in the Jurassic World.
I don't know, man. Vin Diesel's pretty.
Like, I didn't even mention.
Why even get a massive star like Vin Diesel to just go, I am Groot? I still don't get it.
He could probably buy how many houses with just saying that word a couple of times a year.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, we do have a lot of threads to pull together for this one. We've got Aisha and the Sovereign people on their mission to destroy the Guardians after Rocket stole their batteries in Volume 2 that they'd been sent to recover from someone else who stole them, for a laugh. And of course, this led to the post...
Bill, you see Adam Warlock in it, don't you? So that's,
literally, man. The next thing I was going to say was, and this leads to the post-credit scene where we first were hinted at the birth of Adam Warlock, who is going to be played by Will Poulter, who has clearly got the same MCU trainer that Kumail Nanjiani had for the Eternals, because he's got buff. He's been to the MCU factory. You got the whole Peter and Gamora storyline to resolve, so that's a lot of story and a lot of plot points Gunn's going to have to cover to tie up all the threads. And he is adamant that this will be his and this iteration of the Guardians' last film. But don't forget, near the end of the last film, we introduced another Guardians of the Galaxy setup led by Sylvester Stallone in Volume 2, who are reprising their roles here. So maybe you are going to get kind of a spin-off / sequel. So, they'll hand over the Guardians' name to a new team and a new director, a new creative team. And that way the people who do make it out alive can help cross over in the next film. Maybe. I think that's what you're going to do. What do you think?
Maybe. Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe. I think. Yeah. So the Guardian, that if you're saying people that are going to die, the group, the Guardians, is going to be like the end of the Fellowship.
Oh yeah. Just hopefully not an extra hour of that. Them saying, "Oh, bye."
Yeah, at the end of it. So whether it is just continued or whether it's just, I don't know. With the MCU at the moment, I am just a bit tired of it.
You got fatigue, MCU fatigue.
So maybe.
Right, so I will just say in the trailer though, they immediately go with a big laugh as Drax drills a small alien girl with a basketball. Nadu nada indeed. And then the Guardians just get pelted with everything.
I reckon that might be where he dies, Drax.
that would be hilarious.
And eats his face
and then she yeah, I mean that would be really funny because it'll be from him something stupid. I mean, again, back to Rocket. You got the line where he says, "We'll all fly away together one last time." That is so set up to be his death scene. But I just think it's so obvious to anyone who watches that I'm not too sure, man. You got 2 brief shots of Adam Warlock in the trailer, and do we think, without googling the character, he ends up joining the Guardians? He's created as a antagonist to go and kill them, and he ends up actually joining them. Also, do we think?
I don't know. Isn't Adam Warlock meant to be quite powerful?
Yeah. And I'm not. I don't really know enough about the character. I didn't want to Google anything about it until I've seen the film, because spoilers. But I'm wondering, you got these slow motion shots of the team walking. I'm wondering, like they always do in a Marvel film, whether he's been digitally erased from some of them. Also, my favourite line of the trailer is, "Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves." And you don't even know.
I'm having a look at that walking shot now to see if there's a space where someone could be digitally erased. And you know what? Maybe next to the dog.
Maybe next to the dog. Could be his dog. So overall, David, I'm a bit mixed on the trailer, because I know it's the first trailer for this film, but it doesn't really give away much at all, really, in terms of plot or big spectacle set pieces. And as we know, Marvel edit the shit out of their trailers to completely fuck with us. So we'll see.
I mean, it's all the beginning of the film, isn't it?
And as much as I'm really looking forward to the film, I think this trailer underwhelmed me slightly, just a little bit. But this is still for the film. This is a 9 out of 10 for me, because James Gunn, in James Gunn we trust. He's never steered us wrong, I don't think. And to come back to Marvel and Disney and get to finish your own trilogy, awesome, man. So yeah, and then he goes off to make DC good. So yeah. So I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. You, David?
8 for me, just simply because it is the MCU film I'm most excited for. Simply because the rest of it's not really gone wrong so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like you said, just fatigued with it all.
Well, one thing that gets rid of fatigue, David, I hear, is cocaine. Yes, from an underwhelming trailer to one that got a massive reaction at my most recent trip to the cinema. More reaction and more laughs than any other trailer. Indeed, it played after the Avatar 2 trailer. And yes, that film is Elizabeth Banks' Cocaine Bear. Apparently based on a true story, this was on my films to look out for list for this year. And now, it didn't make it out this year, but it's coming out next February. Probably because they're all high on cocaine. No, that's we don't know that. Written by Jimmy Warden and directed by Elizabeth...
I don't know, it's Elizabeth Banks, mate.
Yes. And directed by Elizabeth Banks, who definitely wasn't on cocaine when she directed her second film, which was Charlie, look, cocaine, Charlie. It's all linked, David. It's all linked. She's a coke fiend. It's all linked right there. I've connected the dots. Yeah, after she directed the poorly received Charlie's Angel reboot in 2019. Now, admittedly, I haven't seen it, purely because I just think the idea of a Charlie's Angels film just about worked in the early 2000s, bearing in mind it was already an adaptation of a late 70s, early 80s TV show. I just think that in modernising the idea, it just didn't work. But once again, like we mentioned recently with Olivia Wilde and Don't Worry Darling debacle, Banks was given a massive amount of shit for just trying to defend her film in the media. And we're just lucky that she's got a new film coming out. And in fact, David, while I'm on this rant, I had to look at the comments on the Cocaine Bear trailer because I'm an idiot. And there were so many incel cave dwellers. And I'll read to you now. I'm not going to tell you the guy's name because it's stupid. But it says, "This film looks badass, but Banks directed it, so I'm not seeing it." I mean, wow. A full Owen Wilson, wow.
This film looks amazing. Oh my god. Wait a second. Is it just because she was a woman or just because she was Elizabeth
I think
Banks?
it could be a woman who said stuff he didn't like once, potentially.
Okay, so it's just like, oh, it's Elizabeth Banks. Oh, never mind.
I know. And this film looks pawsome, David. Pawsome. There's a pun.
Pawsome,
yeah.
there you go.
So, yeah, I mean, this is an amazing trailer, man. And it has been great, getting great reactions everywhere. And before it came out, we knew the story, but we didn't know what the tone of the film was going to be. And this looks like a jet black comedy. And surprisingly, guess where it was filmed, David?
Canada.
No, good shout. There's a lot of bears and trees in Canada, a lot of rainy. No, it was filmed in, Pam will know,
Ireland.
County Wicklow in Ireland. And County Wicklow, that's probably maybe the first Irish pronunciation we've got right. So the film stars Kerry Russell, Solo himself, no, not Harrison Ford, Alden Ehrenreich. Oh, I can't even pronounce the name. Good God. The guy who played Han Solo. O'Shea Jackson, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Margot Martindale, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. Do you know who Isaiah Whitlock Jr. is, David?
Isaiah Whitlock
Without Googling, because it sounds like you said his name really slowly as you were typing it into a keyboard.
No, I did not. I have not seen him in any. I don't know. His character name is Bob, and that he was in. Fucking hell! I need to get faster.
He was Bunk in The Wire, David.
Oh, I've never watched.
You have just admitted to that on a podcast about TV, and
I've said it before. I've said before, like
you shouldn't.
Whenever I specifically remember saying in one of these episodes that whenever I talk about The Wire being good, it's all through third-party information.
Well, let me just say, David, as Bunk would say in the show in reaction to your not knowing The Wire, shit. He said shit a lot in that show, man.
Okay.
He said it a lot. And it was like the way Samuel L. Jackson made the word motherfucker a work of art, the way Isaiah Whitlock Jr. says shit, it's just, he can say it a million different ways, man. And in one of his final performances, the legendary late Ray Liotta, which, after his career-defining turn in Goodfellas, it only seems right that his last film potentially could be a film about a bear going wild on cocaine. So, onto the trailer. Let's have a quick look. Well,
I forgot Rayleigh. I forgot he died.
Are you going to be sad now for like the...
That's sad.
Well, yeah, man. But, you know...
He was only 67.
Yeah, and he died in, I think, doing a film out in the Dominican Republic. So, onto the trailer. We have, firstly, some very nice CGI bear shots, because obviously that's...
Whoa, wait a second. You're telling me they didn't train this bear to eat that block
there
of
might
cocaine?
have been a whole nope incident, with the original bear, but we don't mention it. There's going to be a 20-minute prologue about the bear's early days before the film starts properly, just to throw us all. But also, do you know the song in the trailer, David? The classic electro song.
To be honest, I'd have to watch the trailer again and listen to it.
The song's White's Lines, originally by Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel. And I'm not sure which version we have in the trailer. When I was trying to look up what version it was, there's a shitload of versions of this song out there. Basically, there's like a really long 8-9 minute version, and it's just all about doing cocaine. So, again, great choice for the film. I like the fact you're setting up the kids in trouble in the woods while the cocaine bear is on the loose plot. And some of the lines, just even in this trailer, man, are hilarious. The bear, it fucking did cocaine. And the small kid in the tree, it was fucked. Small children swearing will never not be funny, man. Small children swearing will never not be funny. Actually, the best ones of kids swearing and being angry, and I'm not sure if they swore too much, Will Ferrell did a bunch of Funny or Die skits with his daughter called Pearl. And it was like she's one where she's his landlord, and she one where she's a cop and starts beating him up. It's very good, man. It's brilliant home videos for obviously when she's older. I love the great edit where you've got the lyric in the song where it says "Get higher, baby," as the bear is climbing the tree in search of more cocaine. David, that's the kind of thing that seems like it's going to stay with a man forever. I don't know who this kid is, but he has got all the best lines in the trailer so far. Did we see a shot where the bear sneezed cocaine into the kids' faces? Because it sure as hell looks like it.
I hope so.
There's a slight spoiler in the trailer, because you do see a shot of the bear sniffing coke off someone's severed leg. I also love the slow-mo jump of the bear coming into the van, the ambulance near the end, and then that dissolve into the title was... Oh. And the sting at the end of the trailer with the Dutch tourists, because they have such good luck in nature, David. Such good luck. I am really, really looking forward to this, man. I love that it's a throwback to the old 90s monster black comedies. There'll be films like Eight-Legged Freaks, Deep Blue Sea, Deep Rising, mid to low budget films with a crazy creature concept. And I'm here for it, David. I would say inject it into my veins now, like we usually do for things that we are really excited for. But I think for Cocaine Bear, that's a bad idea. I mean, how would you even go about injecting a bear into your veins? Ba-doom.
No, you can snort that cocaine, or rub it on your gums.
You
or
missed,
something.
I made the joke about it was a bear instead, trying to get a bear into your veins. I went the other way, David. I didn't go with the coke. That's the obvious joke.
Yeah, but you could have gone with the drugs. You're injecting stuff like heroin, but there's another pure drug there. You made the wrong link.
I think I made the right choice. Right, so for me, this is a 9 out of 10. I cannot wait to see this in February when it comes out. And I would advise everyone as well to go and see Cocaine Bear.
I'm going 8.
Cocaine Bear.
You didn't write a country song. Don't you lie to me.
Cocaine Bear, here, there, everywhere. There's a Cocaine Bear.
You know what? I'd listen to that. Release it on Spotify.
And now we are moving on to It's me, Chris Pratt, who suddenly people don't like anymore. Indeed, it is Super Mario Brothers. And I'm not quite sure why people don't like Chris Pratt anymore. I mean, he's very funny.
I think it's just because he's doing the voice of this beloved character, and he sounds nothing like him.
Okay.
And they're sort of Americanizing a Japanese
Italian
video game.
Yeah, but he didn't sound Japanese in it.
Japanese
I know,
video
but he didn't sound Japanese in it. He sounded Italian.
But I think that's what people are annoyed about. It's hard to understand the internet these days.
Any day. Actually, people can... If you know internet, let us know. Because it was a Japanese video game doing an Italian-American voice for the original video game, do you think that's why it's so badly racist? Like in the games. It's me, it's Amalia. I talk like it. You know, I apologize to all our Italian listeners, although I don't think we have any. And we definitely wouldn't now. But do you think they were like all weighing it up and they're like, do you know what? Let's just not have him do it. Because it's going to be really fucking annoying if he's like that the whole way through the film, potentially. So,
I think I do think that's why people are hating on it. It's just because it's Chris Pratt it's like Hollywood has just taken over a beloved franchise like they did with Sonic, and it's just not going to hit.
Have you seen Sonic?
Yeah, it was just fine.
It was just fine.
That's it though. It was just fine. Whereas I think people, because these are such massive, and Mario's like the biggest of the lot, right? Actually, I think Pokemon's the most successful video game franchise of all time, but Mario's got to be right up there.
Well, it's because Pokemon release 1 million different versions of the game every couple of years, don't they?
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, and they've also got like all the merchandise and everything that goes with it. And the card game, like loads. But anyway, but I think that's why, because it's such a beloved thing with people, and that whole audience as well. Though gamers, it's quite toxic. In some, maybe it's a larger pool of toxicity than anywhere else.
Because Super Mario Brothers,
still the minority.
Well, I don't think the toxicity thing in relation to games really applies to Super Mario Brothers because it's such an old school, kids simple game. I mean, the average... Right, so I'm that old that I had the original Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo NES system when it first came out.
Yeah, so did I.
Really? And then I had 2, and then I had 3, and then the one on the N64, which was amazing, which was, what was it, Super Mario World, the first one on there? Well, let's get back on track. After the cult disaster that was 1993's live-action Super Mario travesty, starring the late great Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, who we'll be talking about later, Illumination, the studio behind Despicable Me and Minions, have teamed up with Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, the directors behind the excellent, so I'm told, Teen Titans Go to the Movies. So already, you have 2 titans, of animation behind this film. Add in a voice cast of Chris Pratt, not doing a racist Italian accent, Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, and you've got Charlie Day as Luigi, who absolutely nailed it in this trailer. And you've also got Keegan-Michael Key, Seth Rogen, and Jack Black. That's been Charlie Day's been sort of, if anything, he's my least, because he just sounds exactly like Charlie. Yeah, but Charlie Day actually sounds... I think it just works, though. I think it works.
He doesn't sound like Luigi.
Does Luigi even speak?
If anything, Charlie Day was my biggest problem.
Really?
With it so far. You've only seen him for like a brief moment.
And you didn't like Charlie.
So it's hard to judge. But out of the core 4...
The core 4?
Charlie Day was the one, like, as in you got Peach, Mario, Bowser, Luigi. He was the one where I was least like, I was a bit more disappointed with it. Whereas Jack Black's my favourite.
I was trying to figure out who's who because I haven't actually looked at the full. When I saw the cast, it just said who was in it. So who's playing Bowser? Is it Jack Black?
Jack Black, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I wonder, Seth Rogen's got to be the mushroom guy, right? He's got to be.
No, Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong.
Oh, great. So Keegan-Michael Key, mushroom guy?
Yes, Toad, yeah.
Toad, excellent. Of course he's Toad. Sorry, fan. So, originally, right, I had no interest in this at all. It wasn't on my radar, but I liked the first trailer, and I really liked the second one. It's massively charming. I think the voices are spot on, and I'm really glad to see, once again, all the incels complaining about Princess Peach gearing up with weapons. And I bet you she's actually going to save Mario and Luigi at one point. I think it just looks really funny and entertaining for long-term franchise fans and long-term Mario fans as well. And I love the way the game's original sound effects and music are woven into the trailer. And of course you're going to have Mario Kart in it. And of course, think of all of what we're not seeing in this trailer, David. Where's Wario? And of course, I want my Yoshi, David, and I want him now.
Yeah. There's going to be so many. There's going to be so many Easter eggs and nods, like either very subtly done, like in the background of stuff, or just straight up in your face. Yeah, which is like the Mario Kart thing, and like, you go to Yoshi's Island or something like that. There's going to be loads.
It's a good thing that they can refer to Scott Pilgrim to see how to make people explode into fountains of coins.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people slagging slagging.
Yeah, that's the word.
I've seen a lot of people slagging the idea of Mario being like he's, whereas like I don't quite understand what they wanted him to just be OP straight at the beginning, have Bowser turn up and be like, okay, fuck you, Bowser, I'm going to take you out. Like there'd be absolutely no hero journey there.
Exactly what I said, mate. You
Without
need a hero's journey. Then he needs to eat some mushrooms and get his powers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll be cool to see how we haven't seen that either. When he's like goes Super Mario. But no, I'm quite looking forward to this one. This one was a 9 for me. I haven't seen a decent fun kids film in a while now. Like the one that I've actually been excited about. And this one's I'm excited.
Yeah, I wasn't that, as I say, I wasn't that fussed with it, but this ticks all my boxes for this type of film, man. The team and the studio behind it, right? I haven't seen Teen Titans go to the movie because I've never seen Teen Titans in my life, but everyone online raves about how good and how cleverly written and directed that film was. And it's those guys with the people who did Minions behind it. You know, the amalgamation of those two creative forces. I mean, there's no way this couldn't be amazing, right? I mean, even if only kids like it, that's still kids are the biggest audience, right?
Yeah, I'm really hoping there'll be some real iconic moments in this, similar to like Shrek. You know how Shrek, when first Shrek Curse came out, it like propelled DreamWorks to a whole new level.
Arguably, Illumination are massive now, anyway.
It was just iconic, wasn't it? It was instantly iconic. I'm hoping Mario Kart, this Mario movie will be the same.
Okay, so I am going to give this a 7 because it wasn't on my radar at all, but now I'm definitely going to go and see it when it comes out. So, David, let's go, David.
Let's go. Have you seen the Super Mario like land that you can go to in Japan? I think?
No.
Like the theme park. It looks amazing. You should check it out. The Nintendo Land or something. I can't remember.
You throw red turtles at people while driving a buggy?
You can. Yeah, they've got AR.
Actual Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. Yeah, but it augmented reality in Mario Kart.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break from discussing trailers, David, and I'm going to give you a quick review. And that film is Violent Night. Yep, last week I was lucky enough to get to go and see Violent Night on opening night. And, what did you think from the trailer, David? What did you think the film was going to be?
I do want to see it. I do really want to see it. I'm just really struggling with time at the moment to get any chance to do anything that I want to do, like go to the cinema. But it looks amazing. And David Harbour's my new favourite person.
Before this film or just in general?
Just in general, because since I got a signed sword of his, he's my new he's my new favourite.
Well, now you've got a signed sword by Santa Claus, so it's even double.
I need to get a signed cane, a signed Santa
from Citizen Kane.
Or was it a sledgehammer he has in the film? What's his go-to killing object in Violent Night?
His hammer, which is called Skull Crusher.
Is that not a sledgehammer?
I suppose so. I'm not up on my hammers, David. I just know it's a hammer and it's called Skull Crusher. And there's a great little bit when he gets his weapon back and the little girl's like, "Oh, Skull Crusher," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna crush skulls." So yeah, a super quick review as it's coming up to Christmas of Tommy Riccola's new Christmas action film Violent Night, starring Sheriff Hopper himself, David Harbour, as a bit of a grumpy, over it Santa who's losing the Christmas spirit. David, he's losing his Christmas spirit. In fact, the film opening scene threw me completely because it said Bristol, England, and I was like, "What? What are we doing in Bristol?" And it's just him sitting in a bar drinking. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then there's a very brilliant joke near the start that I'm not going to ruin for people. But essentially, he gets caught up in a robbery where the horribly rich and just plain horrible Lightstone family are being robbed by professionals on Christmas Eve. And it's only the family's youngest daughter, Trudy, who still believes in Santa. And she convinces him to stay and rescue her and deliver some season's beatings to all the bad guys. And what surprised me most about this, David, was that for a film that is definitely R-rated in the States, and I think it's a 15 over here. It's so spectacularly violent, but it's also a proper Christmas film. I thought it was going to be, more hewn towards being action and not really an out-and-out Christmas film, but it is 100% a Christmas film. And it's got a really strong message about believing in Santa, that bar its incredibly horrific violence, is actually fairly traditional in its approach. I mean, the end credits song is even Slade's Merry Christmas Everyone. Now, the family, the Lightstone family, they are all arseholes, except for Trudy and her parents, who are having difficulties getting away from the Succession-like Lightstone family, headed by a wonderfully caustic Beverly D'Angelo as the family's matriarch. And again, it's a great kind of reversal of character, because what do a lot of people know her from? National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So you cast her in this as an absolute bitch monster from hell. And I would say, it's a minor spoiler, but when you meet John Leguizamo's Mr. Scrooge, who's your main bad guy...
Oh, is he Scrooge, is he? That's not told in the trailer.
Spoilers. No, he's not actually Scrooge, David.
Okay.
All the bad guys have, Christmas nicknames. So he's Mr. Scrooge, because he's the bad guy. One of the assassins is called Candy Cane, So stuff like that. And there's even the line where one of the guys like, why do we have to use these stupid code names? A little time after you're introduced to Leguizamo's Mr. Scrooge, he promptly punches Beverly D'Angelo right in the face. And at that point, David, I knew what type of film this was going to be. Holy shit, it is so violent. You have a kindly old man. Yep, he's definitely going to die horribly. No one is spared. It is just a bloodbath. And I would expect nothing less from 87 North Productions, which are the team behind John Wick, and they're actually headed up by John Wick Supremo, David Leitch. So you can imagine what kind of film this is. Harbour is brilliant as a larger-than-life Old St. Nick, and what I really liked is there's a bit of mythology where you get some brief flashes of what his life is, or was, before he becomes Santa Claus.
I imagine this film is like Home Alone meets Jingle All the Way, but if Home Alone was actually an 18, so if you throw a brick off the roof and hit someone in the face, it's going to kill them.
You've literally just hit the nail on the head with Skull Crusher right there. There are literal references to Home Alone, not even cute little references. There's literally a bit where the little girl says, "Oh, it's like Home Alone," and you're like, "Wow, just couldn't even try to hide that line, could you?" We get what the scene is, but and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do some booby traps," and runs off and says booby traps. But do you know what? It's tons of fun, and everyone knows the assignment. I kind of wish that the early brutality was kept up against the horrible family throughout the film. But hey, any film that starts in a pub in Bristol's okay with me.
You've never been to Bristol in your life.
I have not been to Bristol, no. But hey, any film that starts in England when you're expecting it to start in America was a bit of a shock. I was like, oh, okay.
You've never been in England in your
Are you drinking again, David? Are you having a Christmas eggnog? Are you on the Christmas sherry?
Nah, the Pepsi Max.
Okay. Well, watch that stuff too. So my best take is I would call this Jolly Old Saint Wick.
Jolly Old Saint Wick.
And as I enter full smug mode, David, we have to mention, my initial Twitter review was made into a snazzy graphic by the Violent Night socials team and posted all over Twitter, and my review was as follows. Brilliant one-liners, great action, and Harbour as one of the greatest on-screen Santas. Well, if it's good enough for the people behind the film to be our first ever We Needed Roads review quote used to promote the actual film, then I guess Santa owes us a super yacht and millions of dollars. But not billions, because we're not greedy and we want to stay on the nice list. David, I give this 7 sharpened candy cane stabby things to the skull out of 10.
Oh, well, just the sharpened candy canes to the skull got me. I'm assuming that happens.
Yeah. So now we're going to go from a review back to trailers. And David, you're going to take the lead on this one because this is all going to be about The Last of Us. Now
everyone knows it all goes tits up and I have to take the lead on things now. Everybody knows.
Well, you quickly rewatch a trailer and frantically find your notes. I will say, I like the look of the trailer, but I've purposely stayed away from everything else because sadly, being an Xbox guy, I've never played The Last of Us games.
It is amazing.
And I only have a very basic knowledge of the story. All I know that it's Pedro Pascal's Joel escorting Bella Ramsey's Ellie across the post-apocalyptic war zone, and it's got a bit of an old-school Walking Dead vibe, right? I know that it's got Nick Offerman, Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, and Agent Olivia Dunham, Anna Torv from Fringe in it. And I was excited, as many have said, this is one of the greatest video games of all time. And then to find out it's being produced by the same team as Chernobyl, well, that's just a mark of quality. So, David, without spoilers or the above, why should I watch this show?
The Last of Us, what can you say about it? It is a TV show coming out on HBO on January the 15th, starring Pedro Pascal, the man with the best agent in the business at the moment, and Bella Ramsey, who's probably best known as Game of Thrones, like little Lyanna Mormont that stabs the big giant thing. It's a giant, right? Yeah, the big giant in the eye. Anyway, it's based on a adaptation. It's an adaptation of a video game from Naughty Dog that came out in I should have known that 2013, I think 2013 or 2014. It was around that ballpark, and it is arguably the best video game that's ever made. It's certainly got one of the most striking beginnings of a video game ever made, and one of, again, arguably the best ending of a video game. Like if anybody was to just Google top 10 video game endings, The Last of Us ending will probably be number one. It stays with you, and this show, if it gets it right, is going to be it's just going to be amazing. I really think there's the area for it at the moment. Like the market's available with the Walking Dead ending and post-apocalyptic shows not reaching like the massive heights that the Walking Dead did, with like everybody watching it at one point. There's been a lot of shows that have come out recently based in post-apocalyptic worlds, but I don't think any of them have really hit the massive audiences that they were looking for. I think The Last of Us could finally be that one that reaches a massive mainstream audience. It is. So the plot, what can I tell you about the plot without spoiling anything? Essentially, like most post-apocalyptic things based around the idea of there being zombies, in 2013 within the games, there is an outbreak of it's sort of like a fungal mutation in the United States, and transforms humans into these really hyper-aggressive creatures known as the Infected. And through the course of being sort of thrown together, a relationship forged from necessity, the main characters, Ellie and Joel, meet each other and are on a quest to discover the Fireflies. It's hard to talk about without trying to spoil anything. Anyway, the Fireflies are essentially just a group out there trying to figure out how to stop the infection, save society, fight against organizations like that are currently running the country, and they're kind of like a faction that they're trying to find. And it's the show's really all going to be about the journey together, the relationship that forges between them. That's going to be the main hero, like the main hero of the show is their two relationship, as it's again probably the best relationship between a pair in video games. Whether they can get that to, I think they can get it to transcend into the TV show, but we will see, I suppose, won't we, Neil? It's going to be I think it's really exciting. You've got Joel, who's this sort of tragic hero, I suppose, the reluctant, salt of the earth character. And you've got Bella Ramsey, she's equally as tragic, but she sort of handles it in a different way, and they're constantly challenging each other's morals, and they're constantly challenging each other's ethics and who they are as people, who they want to be, what they want to make of the world. And it's all about the journey. And if HBO can get it right, this show could be finally a video game adaptation that's worth watching properly. There's not many out there. Proper, very good video game adaptations. Naughty Dog is one of the best video game developers, I think, there is. The Uncharted series, The Last of Us, and they're very good at writing story. And I'm just hoping that they can do this justice, because it deserves it.
I don't know if it's going to be big enough to make that jump to like massive mainstream success. I think every review of it will be flawless. Like, I think everyone's going to love it. But I wonder whether it's going to, and just purely because of the subject matter, that it's going to breach that barrier.
Yeah, but you're forgetting how popular the game was.
Yes, I am, because I never played it. So,
like, you're forgetting how the game was. It's Naughty Dog. Every Naughty Dog. I can't think of a bad Naughty Dog game.
So I think we'll round this up, David. So what is your rating for The Last of Us? Excitement level.
9.
You're not going 10 out of 10 for this.
No.
What would get you a 10 out of 10?
For The Last of Us, it not being on HBO, just because it's more of a pain in the ass to watch.
That's the stupidest reason I've ever heard. That's up.
No. That was one of the reasons I was gonna say as to why it might not gather a massive audience. But then again, that wasn't the case of House of the Dragon.
And don't forget, Game of Thrones was the most illegally downloaded show ever in the history of illegal downloads.
Yeah.
So if the show's that good,
exactly. So
you know how successful the show is, man. If you go online and see what's the most, you Google what are the most pirated shows at the minute, and if it's in that list, then there you go. You know it's the most. You know it's been a massive success.
I mean, I've never done that.
No, of course not. But we all know people who have.
Yourself, you just admitted.
No, I literally just said we know people who have. Good God, David. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to give this a 8 out of 10. I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm sure I'm going to love it and grow to love it even more. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, oh, it's just subject matter, man. It's just, I've seen it so many times. And I know everyone's screaming at me going, yeah, but it's brilliant. It's one of the best example of that. And I'm hoping it is. I really am. And I'm sure it will be. So, yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. Finally today, I have been running a little poll, David, to see which of the 4 movie trailers we looked at today that people were most excited to see. And, well, this was our most popular poll we've ever done it here on our Twitter at We Needed Roads. We had 118 votes in total, and the poll was only live for a couple of hours. And the results are in, David. But first, before I tell you the results, I did say anyone who dropped us a comment, they get a shout out on the pod, and I'm a man of my word. So first up, Stu over at the Stu World Order Pod said, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and it's not even close. The team over at Once Upon a Wasteland, a Fallout story, said that they are most looking forward to Indy 5 as they really want him to stick the landing, but they also feel that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be the best film of that group. The guys over at Dissect That Film sent us a gif of Jeff Goldblum excitedly shaking his fists and said they're excited for all of them. Eric Slad...
I love that gif.
Anything with Jeff Goldblum... I sent them back another Goldblum gif because, you know, it's just what you do. Give Goldblum, get Goldblum. Eric Sladder said, Indy 5 looks awesome, but I'm also super excited for the new Mario Brothers movie. Honestly, I'm hyped for all of these. Yes, finally some Mario love there. Silver Screen Savers from across the pond said, Guardians of the Galaxy by a mile, then Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear. Recasted Pod told us they are least sceptical about Guardians 3. Perpetual Cinema said, Cocaine Bear is the only one where I am fully confident we know what we are getting. Drinking for Sports, great title for a pod there, simply stated, Cocaine Bear, with an exclamation point. Our friends over at SP Film Viewers said, honestly, most excited about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but I think when the Mario movie comes out, there'll definitely be a review for us to do. So, a lot of Mario love here as well. Jason over It's Not That Bad said, from a geek perspective, it's definitely Guardians of the Galaxy 3, especially as it feels like Marvel Phase 5 is ramping up nicely. But Cocaine Bear is Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear. And I'm here for that. Also, kind of hyped for Dungeons and Dragons. It looks like it's going to be a very fun ride. See, David, I knew someone else was... I knew you was going to be excited about Dungeons and David's Dragon. Dragon's David. It's a long day and words have lost all meaning. And finally, The World Is My Burrito podcast, which again, an awesome name for a podcast. They're looking forward to specifically the Japanese dub of Super Mario Bros. And I don't know why.
There you go. See, looking at not wanting it to be Americanized and just watching the Japanese dub of it because it's a Japanese game. There you go. See what I was saying.
David, here are the results. In 4th place, with a paltry 7.6% of the vote, we have Super Mario Bros.
How many people actually voted for Super Mario? Because I accidentally voted Super Mario Brothers, so I was one of that 7%.
Well, unfortunately, Elon hasn't given us the option yet to see how many people voted for
Well, if we've had 118 votes, then there must have been about 8 people that voted Super Mario Brothers. Rough maths.
Why would you complicate maths more when we've got exact figures in front of us? It's 7.6% of people said Super Mario Brothers. And in third place, David, well, we have a tie. Yes, 2 films both got 29.7% of the vote. And those films are Cocaine Bear, the Cocaine Bear is everywhere, doing cocaine, it's Cocaine Bear. And Indiana Jones 5, Cocaine Bear and Indiana Jones. If you put those 2 together, at least Indy's got a whip to try and calm Cocaine Bear, but he'd probably just shoot Cocaine Bear. The word Cocaine Bear has pretty much lost all meaning by this time of the pod as well. So yes, our winner, with only a 4% more than Cocaine Bear in Indy 5, was Guardians of the Galaxy 3, with 33.1% of the vote. So, I'd just like to thank everyone who voted today, and it just shows me that everyone's really excited for Indiana Jones 5, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and Cocaine Bear. And we will most definitely be talking about all 3 of those films in massive detail when they come out next year. And you know what? We're probably going to do Super Mario Brothers as well, because we all like the look of it. Nothing negative here. They all look awesome. But in our next upcoming pod, we are going to be going to our review of the year. So we're going to have our top 10 films episode of the year, and we're going to have our top 10 TV shows of the year pods, and they'll be coming up very soon. So again, and that's all the time we got for this week. See you next time.
Goodbye, folks.
We needed roads.
Why do you sound like you're trying to be a folksy Americana person when you say goodbye?
Why were you trying to be a folk singer the entire time? That's what I want to know. The entire time you was trying to be a folk singer.
I was trying to be a country and western singer with my new hit song, Cocaine Bear, which you've already said I should put on Spotify.
It must be crazy for a robot to want to be a folk singer. It's from Futurama.
Oh, right. I haven't seen all of them. I've seen a lot of them. I just haven't seen all of them.
That's like the first episode. It's like the second episode.
See, even you don't know. Your brain's addled, man. We've just got a comment that's come in late. Kelly Madden at Kelly Madden 80 has said, I have questions for anyone who didn't choose Cocaine Bear.
That's a good comment.
She was late. It was only 5 minutes ago,
Well
but
said.
yeah. And we're done. Cocaine Bear, Cocaine Bear. He's everywhere. He's doing coke everywhere. Cocaine Bear, Cocaine Bear.